Hi there, welcome to Temple Mew channel. Today I want to talk about the work of the psychologist Wilhelm Reich. This is not by any means an academic assessment of the man's work and influence on psychology today. It's my own personal view of studying Reich on and off for many years, more off than on, I have to say. As far as I understand it, there are three aspects to Wilhelm Reich's work. The first aspect is, and indeed phase, of his thinking. The first phase or aspect is the question of body armor. The second phase or aspect is the political, what I would call the political, sociological aspect. And thirdly, the discovery, if you like, of orgone energy, and of its opposite, de-orgone energy. Now, how this relates to Temple Mew is because Wilhelm Reich is considered by some to be one of the first people in the West to put forward the proposition that the mind affects the body, as well as the body affecting the mind. I'm going to have a look at his first aspect, which is the aspect of body armor. What is body armor? Body armor is a learned reflex as a result of one's experiences through life, especially during the formative years of childhood. And it's an example of how consciousness can actually affect not only the physical body as a whole, but also the body, the physical, on the cellular level. According to Reich's model, well, I'll give you an example. It's the best thing, really. You know, if somebody shouts at you and you're not expecting it, you go, "Huh," like that, and your shoulders hunch up and your head goes down, and you try to make yourself a smaller target, okay? And that's if somebody shouts at you. If they bully you, then that's over a period of time of shouting and abusive remarks, and all this makes you tense, makes your body tense up. And Wilhelm Reich also said about slapping. If you slap somebody, say for example I slap myself on the arm here, like that, obviously the blood rushes to the area where I've been slapped, and then, but as well as that, the muscles of the arm tense up, and this muscular tension creeps its way not only all around my body, all over my body, to every muscle in my body eventually, but also works its way in to the very cellular part of me, the very essence of me, and so I am tense all the way down to onto the cellular level. And okay, but don't worry, you know, getting the odd slap through one's life is okay, but if this slapping or shouting or bullying or any kind of mental cruelty is consistently done to an individual over a long period of time, although they might cope with it on the mental level, they might find coping strategies and sublimation and all this kind of thing, and their body will learn to become very tense and defensive against this aggressive behavior. And so this is actually a muscular, a bodily response to stress, to adverse conditions, as opposed to Sigmund Freud's model of the neurosis only being contained within the mental, the actual mental dynamic. Here we see the neurosis actually finding its way into the body and down into the cells of the body. And Wilhelm Reich had a theory about cancer, that cancer was was really a cell's response to aggression, to oppression, and to violence. And now, of course, your body also remembers all the good things that happened to it during childhood. You know, all the kisses and cuddles and encouragement that you received, and this made your body relaxed and happy, and you know. So overall, most of us have more pleasant experiences than unpleasant experiences, which is why our bodies are quite relaxed, and which is also why people criticize Reich for making people too oversensitive. You know, we can all cope with a little bit of adversity, but really when you have severe neurosis, severe body armoring, this is an indication of consistent mistreatment and even abuse. This body armor, of course, then went on to affect the mind, because you're very tense in your body, and this made you very tense, uptight, defensive mentally, and very unwilling to learn new things, very conservative with a small c, and very conformist as well, and you sort of have this idea of wishing to please authority all the time, and being sort of allowing yourself to be fitted into a box. You know, you're a round peg, and you allow yourself to be bashed into a square hole. And after, I mean, Wilhelm Reich had to escape the Nazis, and you know, after the Second World War, there were a lot of people sort of asking questions like, you know, why did the Holocaust happen? How can people become so terrible in their actions? How can Nazism take hold in a society? And Wilhelm Reich said that the reason why was because people were armored, were alienated from their innate softness and gentleness and caringness, and they were exposed to violence from a young age, and so therefore, you know, Nazism was a kind of extension of repressive and abusive households, abusive families. Overall, quite a negative view, really, of childhood and child rearing practices. But of course, child rearing practices in the 1930s were very different from our own. And I don't wish to make a value judgment about whether they were right or whether they were wrong. I'm just saying that Reich said that a physiological response to pressure, to bullying, to physical punishment, and being shouted at and being disapproved of, and also being, you know, being told to sit on the potty until you'd done it for a very long time, so-called harsh potty training. This was all part of his model for explaining why people have physical tension, and why this can eventually become manifest in chronic disease.